Welcome everyone to Monday Minutes. I'm Steve Renault, and I'm going to share with you what's on my mind this week. I'm going to read to you from Psalm 37, verse 1 to 8. Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. He will make your righteousness reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. This is the words of King David, who went through a lot of hardships in his life. He had a lot of evil men chase after him, trying to hurt him, saying evil things about him. He spent many years running away, hiding in caves. It was a really rough life for him. And all this time he was blessed as being king, and yet he had to be running and hiding in caves. And what he is saying is this evil men, and when they succeed, because obviously they were succeeding at that time, he was the one running, and it was the evil men who were ruling over the land. Evil men, don't be anxious when they succeed or when they appear to succeed. Evil men can make us anxious, and especially when they are successful and they're evil. It's very easy to fear. It's very easy to be sad and just depressed about the things that happen around us. It's very easy to get angry about them. And David understood this. But David, in these very few verses, he says, be still in God, trust in the Lord, take delight in God, commit your ways to Him, and wait patiently for Him. There is a rest that we are to find in God, even though everything around us is going wrong. Even though there's so much evil happening and so many things that are scary and anger us, especially in the time that we live right now, many people do not have security for the future. They feel insecure for what's going to happen in the future. They have little hope for the future at this time. Many people fear for the freedoms that are being taken away. They fear for their health. Many people are getting sick and fearing for that. And there's so much anger about this and anxiety about this. And David can relate with this, and many people in the Bible can relate with this. But David says, look, focus on God. You can find rest in God by handing over your fears to Him. You can be still knowing that He is God. Jesus has a few words for us about this. He says that instead of taking on our own burden, we can take on His burden. Now, a burden is always a burden, but His is light and is gentle. And He says, I can give you rest. Life will never be completely easy. God will never take away all the problems we have in this world, because we have sinful people around us and we sin ourselves. But if we hand over our lives to Him, He can give us rest. Listen to what He says, what Jesus says in Matthew 11, verse 28 to 30. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus promises that He will give us rest. He will give us peace of mind, even in hard situations, if only we would take on His yoke, which means if we hand over our lives to Him and don't try to control it ourselves. And we just, when we are anxious, when we are angry, when we are facing troubles, we bring it to God and we say, God, I know you control everything. I hand everything over to you. And that will bring you rest, giving everything over to Him. And this is a promise we read here. You will find rest for your soul if you hand over your problems to me. When I think of rest, obviously sleep comes to mind. Hey, there's a peace of mind during the day, obviously, that the Bible talks about. But what is more restful than rest at night? Like I looked it up. We spend 33% of our lives sleeping. There's a reason for that. There is a rest that we are to have at night, and it's an important rest. It helps us to deal with our day. It helps us to be more healthy. It helps us psychologically. Rest is just so important at night. And one of the favorite verses that I have, is actually written on the wall in my home, is Psalm 127, verse 1 and 2. And this is what it says: "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builder labors in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. In vain you rise up early and you stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves." Life can get very busy, and life can get very crazy, and it's very easy to rely on our own strength and rely on our wisdom and rely on our work, like to do more. Oh, I'll just stay up late, I'll just get up earlier, and I'll deal with this. And this just brings stress upon us. And what the Bible verse here says is that unless God is building your home, unless God is watching over your home, you stay up late for no reason. It's not going to do any good. Your watching and your stress and your anxiety and your work is not going to change anything. What we have to do is hand over those things to God and have Him watch for us. Now, that does not mean that we're not watchful. It doesn't mean that we become lazy and do nothing. But it means that we hand over things to God and we rest in Him and say, okay, He is my God. He will take care of these things. I will do what I can, and then I leave it up to Him. And He will take care of it. What it says at the end here, it says, God gives rest. God gives sleep to those He loves. He allows them to be restful. And there's a peace of mind that comes by handing over our lives to God. And I believe a lot of people right now, they are worried about the future. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what they should be doing. They're fearful about many things. And many people need to hand over their lives to God. They need to say, God, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this anymore because you know the future. You know what should happen to me, what will happen to me, and you control all things. And I will choose to rest in you. I will choose to trust in you, and that will bring peace of mind to them. The Bible basically promises that if you hand over your life to Him, God will help you to deal with all these things. I want to finish off with a verse in Ephesians. Because the Bible also teaches that before we sleep at night, this is a good time to hand over these things over to God, like our anger, some of the things that happen during the day, some of the frustrations we might have, some of all our worries. It's a good time before we sleep to hand it over to God, so that we can rest, so that we can actually find sleep. And this is what it says in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 to 27. In your anger do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Now it's talking about anger specifically here, but I think it applies to many things. Is before you go to bed, it is a great time to say, okay, what are my stresses today? What is my anxiety? What am I worried about? What am I angry about? And it's a good time to sit down and give those over to God. Say, God, you know what? I'm really angry with so-and-so. I'm really angry with this. I'm really stressed about this. I don't know what to do the next few months. I don't know where to go to study. But you know what? Before I sleep, I'm going to hand all this to you. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. It is all yours. And I truly believe that if we do that, God will help us to sleep well, and that will bring about all kinds of good things in our lives, because there's a physical fact that sleeping well will help you physically, mentally, in lots of ways. And I believe that's just the way God made us. And so a big part of finding rest is putting our lives in God's hands. And so I pray that you will be able to do that. I pray for all of you out there who have anxieties and stress and hopelessness for the future, that you would trust in God, because He does love you, He does care for you, and He knows exactly what's going to happen in the future.